this battle from second on back, but it is well behind the race leader, Connor Zilic, who is already off of turn 5.
We'll pick up that battle for second out of turn number 5, working their way down the short straightaway. Oh, and around goes Michael McDowell hard into the Armco barrier on the back straightaway. Several other cars crash. William Sawalich is involved. Taylor Gray, a bunch of smoke, dirt, and dust gets kicked up into the air. Difficult to tell who else is involved in this one, but Michael McDowell, a hard shot into the Armco barrier as he for carousel.
Hard crash, a lot of dust and dirt in the air, and it is a parking lot over there on the short straightaway coming out of turn number 5. Coming off the corner, the battle for second, Austin Hill and Michael McDowell. There was no doubt heavy contact between the two of them that sent Michael McDowell around and hard into the wall. That ping-ponged him right back out into the middle of the racetrack, blocked the track, and got pile drive by multiple drivers. Tim Catalfamo is out there in turn number 6 looking straight down the straightaway. I know there's safety vehicles out there, but Tim, the dust is beginning to clear.
Yeah, the dust is beginning to clear indeed. Taylor Gray has now driven away from the scene of the accident. Again, Michael McDowell involved in this one. It looks like the Ryan Seed car has also come to a stop. I see the Chevrolet of Josh Balicki has also stopped on this short straightaway. There is a plethora of safety vehicles that are now immediately on the scene attending to all these drivers. William Sawalich, I see the window net has dropped on that car. Jesse Love, I also see, is there. In fact, a matter of fact, Jesse Love is now starting to drive away from the scene of the accident, but some really hard hits for some of these drivers. That straightaway that connects turn 5 to turn 6 is awfully narrow, and if one car gets turned sideways, there is literally nowhere to go. They are racing full speed at that point. Just some really heavy hits for these drivers a few moments ago.
Yeah, the end of that short stretch, as Tim just described, is absolutely littered with battered race cars. Will take a while to get all of that cleaned up before we can get things back underway. Keep in mind, 8 laps to go here, and contact between Austin Hill and Michael McDowell, which started it, and then William Sawalich got a piece of this. Taylor Gray got a piece of this as well. Several cars that had been contending for positions in the top 5 late in the race. Several drivers that appeared headed for a pretty solid finish this afternoon, but it's all going to go up in smoke with this incident that puts us under the caution flag for the 7th time here today.
Chris Wilner, you've been eavesdropping on both the Michael McDowell radio and the Austin Hill radio. What's the conversation like in the PG version?
Yeah, well, obviously, a tale of 2 different radio chatters. First with Michael McDowell. First of all, the crew wanted to make sure he was okay. He indeed checked in and then immediately said he right-hooked me. So Michael McDowell certainly not happy with Austin Hill, and the crew reminded that's who he is, referring to Austin Hill. So McDowell certainly not going to be pleased. We will check in with him once he gets taken back to the Infield Care Center. Now, meanwhile, Austin Hill, no real mention of that contact, more so trying to figure out how to have a better restart and get a better launch off the corner. So no real, I guess, reference to the contact with Michael McDowell, though they wanted to make sure the front end of that Chevrolet was okay. Austin said he thinks so, and then they moved on. So interesting on both sides. We'll see how it plays out, but certainly going to get thoughts of Michael McDowell, who I'm sure pretty dejected because, again, first time in 9 years he's been in an Xfinity car. He was excited for the first time, said he feel like he was going to be in winning equipment. Well, he came just short here today.
More safety vehicles on the way. A rollback just came down the front straightaway, headed back down toward turn number 7, then around to turn 6, just to assist in the ongoing cleanup process. There are literally a dozen safety vehicles on the scene as crews continue to sort through the situation. And in fact, we have now gone under the red flag. Cleanup continues after a multi-car incident on the short stretch headed to turn number 6. Let's check back in with Tim Catalfamo. Tim, I'm guessing there's still a ways to go before we get ready to go back racing.
Yes, there is. However, they are making remarkable progress. In the last few minutes, they have been able to tow away a couple of cars that were involved in the incident. Kyle Sieg was the latest car that was on the back of a wrecker being towed away from the scene of the crash. However, there is still a lot of safety vehicles with their lights flashing that are completely blocking this short straightaway that connects turn 5 to turn 6. I have also been able to confirm by talking with the NASCAR official that is sitting right next to me up here in turn 6 that they are working on the Armco barrier where Michael McDowell hit very hard. So they're doing that simultaneously as they try to get all of the parts and pieces that are literally all over the place on this backstretch cleaned up.
As everybody sits and waits this one out under the red flag, let's check in with Steve Post.
Philip Bell, the crew chief for Sammy Smith down there. Philip, just kind of describe how your afternoon has gone with Sammy right now sitting in the third spot.
It's been up and down, but Sammy and this team have done a fantastic job keeping us in the fight and, giving us a shot to win here at the end. When
you look at these races, boy, you said two things, keeping us in the fight and chance to win at the end. What's your guess? What's your expectation? What we're going to see here down the stretch and being alive and maybe fighting for the win here?
A lot of aggression. I mean, that's what wins races right here. You got to get in there and fight with them.
Got to get in there and fight with them. That's Philip Bell. He's the crew chief for Sammy Smith from Junior Motorsports.
Yeah, Sammy Smith so far here this afternoon has stayed out of trouble and as a result finds himself with a top 5, in fact a top 3 position in the running order. And as his crew chief mentioned, in a spot where he could contend for a win. And if everything stays clean and green once we go back racing, one would think he's certainly in a strong spot for a top 5 finish.
He's going playoff racing is Sammy Smith. Philip Bell, the crew chief, and that team got the big win earlier in our triumphant return to Rockingham Speedway down in the Sandhills of North Carolina. So Sammy Smith with one win under his belt, you can never have too many wins.